Everybody, Mr. Oglesby here. Today we are going to quickly go over the metric system and SI units that you would need to know from your previous chemistry classes. So let's go ahead and dive on into that. So first off, we've got our SI units. Now the purpose of the SI units is to give us a universal / international system that if we're working from anywhere in the world, we would have the same data and we wouldn't have to worry about doing all these conversions to even understand what the data is saying, okay? And so for that, we use meters for length. For mass, we use kilograms. For time is seconds. Temperature is Kelvin. For the amount of substance, we talk about the mole. For the electric current, we have amperes. And then for luminosity, we talk about candela. So we use all of these things when we're working with, specifically with international, with cultures from all over the world, right? So some things to know, some conversions that you need to keep in mind. For temperature, Fahrenheit to Celsius, again, we don't typically use Fahrenheit. I am going to show you the conversion for that though. So basically you would take your temperature minus 32, and then you would multiply that by 5/9. Okay, so that would be how you converted from Fahrenheit into Celsius. Okay, and then to convert from Celsius into Kelvin, you would do your degrees Celsius plus 273. Okay, and again, as a reminder, we use Kelvin in the as our SI unit because Kelvin represents zero represents absolute zero, so the point where all matter completely stops moving. Okay. Next, let's talk about some derived units. So for your volume, we talk about either cubic meters, because remember, cubic would be length times width times height. So cubic meters and cubic centimeters, and then we also talk about liters and milliliters. One thing to note is that 1 cubic centimeter is equal to 1 milliliter. Okay. And then for density, which is the mass per unit volume, it would be your grams divided by milliliters, or grams divided by centimeters cubed, so your cubic centimeters. All right, so here would be all of our prefixes that we would use in the metric system. Technically, there's way more than this, but we do tend to focus on just these. For these, there are a few that are important for you to know. They are kilo, your base, centi, milli, and then we actually will work with, nano as well. Work with nano as well. Okay, those are all ones that you need to keep in mind and you need to make note of because they are very, very important and we use them pretty consistently throughout all of chemistry. So keep those in mind. Make sure you know how to make those conversions. Some metric prefixes that you need to know, milli. So you need to know that a milli anything, there are 1,000 millis in the base unit. So that equals 1 of the base. Okay, for kilo, there is 1 kilo, and that equals 1,000 of the base unit. Centi, there are 100 centi in 1 base. And then for nano, there is 10 to the 9th of nano, and that equals 1 base. Okay, so those are all some that you need to keep in mind and take note of. Those conversions are extremely important, so make sure you know them. Okay. If you are struggling with some of these, that's okay. Let's get some practice and dive on into this. So I have 4 meters here, and they want to know how many millimeters that is. I personally like to use King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And the reason I like to do that is because it just makes it easy to go from one thing to another. If you know your prefixes, then by all means, you can just do a quick multiplication. But this is another simple way to do it. So I'm starting at meters and I'm going to millimeters. So meters would be my base and I'm going to milli. So I'm going to go from my base and go over 1, 2, 3 times, and I went 3 times to the right. So I'll take my decimal, which is on the end of that 4, right, and go 1, 2, 3 times to the right. So my answer would be 4,000. Okay. If I'm going from 49 centimeters into meters, again, same thing. I'm going from centi to my base. So I go 1, 2, and I move to the left. So I'll take my decimal and go 1, 2 to the left. So it's 0.49 meters. Okay. From kilograms into grams. So my kilograms is here. My grams is my base. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 times to the right. So I'll take my decimal, which is here at the end, 16. Go 1, 2, 3 times to the right. So it is 16,000 grams. Okay. I'm going to leave the rest of these for y'all to do. And I will post a key to this, and hopefully y'all have a great rest of the day.